I'm thinking of Maui, and I'm thinking the summer, Merker Shluchim. One summer, the boys were in Chabad. I told them on Shabbos, come to Waikiki, come, let's walk around the hotels. And we got a lot of good Shabboses, and why stay at the whole Shabbos afternoon at the Chabad, which is kind of like a student area. It's not like it's over the river. It's good for retail space and stuff like that. It's definitely very functional. It's a beautiful Chabad. When they moved, and they had that interesting story. They used to have that Sidor Alamana, that shopping hotel, the hotel. Ichel Krasniansky, real sweet people. In Maui, I once wanted to set out to go, and had these deals I would get on, and then there was Mishaya Shustam in there. Great story how he packed Sfarim to go, lots of books to have on the island, and he really lived very modestly and a real old school shliach, getting ready to go and thinking about schlepping boxes of books. Could you imagine when you're going on an island that is not easy? And you can't walk into stores and take on credit, or how are you going to survive? If you listen to Rabbi Lipsker's story in Bal Harbor, how they started on Shlichus, wasn't easy. And we ended up not going. I remember waiting on a standby. There was a lady in like a little dress, like she was ready to go to Maui. She was also on a standby ticket. I had these standby tickets that were from a company called Air Tech. I think Schneerson, he's a shliach, I think, in California, from Los Angeles. Real sweet kid. We went to Russia once. He got me onto this airline ticket, and then I said, who's the owner, whatever, because I found out, and then the owner's secretary was in the office, used to come pick up the tickets, knew my father from back in the day in Russia. Unbelievable. She mentioned my father, like Rabbi Haskelevich. I was like, what? That's me. It's my father. And so the owner was like a chilled liberal Jew, politically liberal with all the trappings, and I'm a young Lubavitcher Bacher, and he ended up putting on tefillin. I asked him once or twice, and then we met in Soho at this place called Hummus Ashley. I think he was taking the used oil from the restaurant and using it to power up a car. Very interesting. So they would recycle airline seats. So this was the only time I actually got bumped. I didn't get on my standby. Usually what he would do is he would recycle it on airlines like Iceland Air, forgot what airline going towards France, and we picked between Frankfurt, Paris, and London, and we would be able to continue on. So my destination usually was Florence, Italy. So then we decided to go to Maui. Somebody in California, in Los Angeles, says to me, "What? You're already in California? Why didn't you schlep to Maui?" And then other guys like, "It's expensive on the island. Wasn't easy shlichus." So some years later, a friend of mine says, "Hey, let's go to Maui. We're going to go surfing." His name is Yossi. And Yossi said, "Okay, so you cook. I pay for all the food, and even you got the flights, and I got a sheikhet, and his name is Baruch, French guy, and he would cut nice pieces of meat and pack them all himself. The only thing we didn't have is a sticker and a hechsher. So when I realized that, when we arrived, the shliach was already there at the airport in Maui, and we already had a whole bunch of cuts of meat for him. And you have no idea how modest they used to live. And when the shluchim would ask you for help, it's real. These are old school shluchim. They're asking you for bread and butter. It's hard not to cry. They had like hot dogs for special days. Yeah. Not that meat is such a necessity, but yeah, you get the picture. I was so happy. And then someone who was supposed to be, keeping the kosher was like ordering at the hotel, was eating whatever, vegetables, fish. So automatically we had more. We put all the meat in his fridge because we're staying at these hotels. And even if it's a hostel, we're not getting a freezer. Actually, at a hostel, you could get a freezer, but we put everything by him, and we said, we'll pick up by you. So we used to actually cook in the morning, make all our barbecues before we do our day trips with whatever meat we had. And I had a foreman. I remember a fisherman guy. He was younger than us, but he was a fisherman from Alaska. He wanted to use my foreman, and I didn't. I said, I can't, I'm kosher. And all he could do is just use it to plug it in at the hostel. We stayed at these hotels, we switched to hostels, we switched back. It was a great experience. and I couldn't let him. And then later I regretted it. And there was a guy sitting there, and he was like, he said, scientifically, when you wash that knife, I lived in a family. He says it's clean. It's the whole idea of that if you wash something, especially if you could cook, you could turn it on again and have it hot. And it depends. The porous of what you believe is considered even if the residue of non-kosher is b'chlal considered even makabel tumah in the Torah of what it was meant by the Hilchos Tumah V'Tada, the laws of purity, and pure animals and pure people and who needs to wash themselves and all those laws. So it trickled down to today with the whole idea of a hechsher, which really never existed, because if you don't suspect that there's treif, you don't have to worry. So the idea of hechsher is really, it's new. It's very new. But it became a big staple of the religion because we don't have karbonis, we don't have God, so we need something to hold on to. We need a fixed practice, like I keep kosher and I feel Jewish. But anyway, I wouldn't let it because I was regularly trained like everyone else. And I could never go back and undo it. And he kind of understood. I looked at him, I said, this is mamish. Everybody has their quirks. That was my quirk. That was my thing. I can't have him use it. So he survived. He didn't starve. We weren't stuck somewhere. But and then there was a couple from Germany traveling. It was really interesting. So so I was thinking maybe now to go visit Maui, and I miss those Shlichus days. Things change. You think and believe differently. Priorities are different, but it's very. So I remember the boys in one is a Stern and the other one was a Turin from Chicago. Stern from Miami. Smart kids. One kid was going to be medic. And they're running the shul while the shlich is out, the shlich is busy. He has to also travel. So they were doing the minyan, they were calling people, giving shiurim. It was really nice. And then they went on Shabbos, they took a walk in Waikiki. I told them, it's Kedai. If you're ready Shabbos afternoon, you could just take a walk. It's nice. I also tried to convince them to go in the ocean. Yeah, this is a big deal for me. This bothers me a lot, that these Bachim come to Hawaii. They use the pool in their apartment complex for mikvah, but there's no jumping in the ocean. I told them, here's a tube, here's a boogie board, whatever you need. Bathing suits. Now that I think of it, I'm going to bring extra bathing suits just in case. I remember I even had a disposable bathing suit that I found in a spa in Japan that was packed, and I was like, this could go. I never knew anything about these things and used them many times. One Haimish guy from Yerushalayim came, I gave him a bathing suit in the desert. He used it for a whole day till it ripped. He slept in it, swam in it, relaxed in it. So there's a guy Niemer, and he's at a thing last week, Yalde, by Shur, David Leib Shur. And there's speaking of shluchim and the Yisachar Zvul and the traditional thing that we, family, one guy goes to work, one guy goes on shlichus, they take care of each other. And I said, you don't think it's expensive, the dinner? Because a Haimish guy told me it's expensive. And if they think it's expensive, these guys are not cheap. They're very, by them, food is top priority by them. By us, it's something else. Maybe Mashiach, Shlichus. So he says, for the Rebbe, nothing is overpriced. That was a real Chassidish answer. So, mixing religion with actually helping people. Mixing religious charity to actual charity where your mamish go and you really help somebody. So I'm thinking I'm going to ask the Chabad if I come down there and make a visit, see what we could do.